Hello and welcome to this web event, helping your clients navigate the current storm going through all experience in these uncertain times. So thank you very much for being here today. I know we have attendees from all over the world, so thank you so much for if you're staying up late or if you've got up early. Thank you very much for being here, much appreciated. So we're going to make this a valuable use of your time. And also as well, just wanted to say, wish you all health, be safe and healthy, and hope that all of your hi, Amy. Oh, we got Amy on the call as well. Hi, Amy. How you doing? Good to see you. So we wanted to just to say thank you so much for being here. Wishing you health and all your loved ones and family and friends are healthy. But most importantly as well, I'd like to say thank you because, like the old analogy with the sharpening the saw and cutting the tree. If you continue to chop down the tree with a blunt saw, it's going to take a lot longer and more effort is going to be required to do it. So taking time out to sharpen the saw and then actually cut down the tree it is a great way of looking at what we're doing now. So I know you're busy. I know you're busy with your clients. I know you're busy with your own challenges within your own firm and with your family and so on, with schools being shut down, particularly here in the UK and all over the world as well. So just wanted to acknowledge that you are in a very select group of people that have that mindset to be able to step back and actually apply different ways of thinking, because it now more than ever, the normal rules of business, normal rules of life about adaptation, about innovation, about helping people, they apply even more now. So that still applies. So I just wanted to say thank you very much and congratulate you for being here. This webinar or this web event is, hi, thank you for the messages. Yeah, feel free to jump in and ask any questions that you have as we go along. Say hi. Please let us know where you're calling from as well. It'd be good to get to know where everybody is right now. But so yeah, please. Hi everybody. Hi Amy. Hi Ainsley. Great to see you. Thank you very much. Jump in, as I said, we'll go through the webinar today, web event today. Jump in and ask questions. I will jump in and out of the Q&As and the comments. So bear with me as I do that, and I will address them as I go along once I see them pop up. But without further ado, what I want to do is I'm going to start sharing my screen with you. Good morning, Keith. How are you? Good to see you from Basingstoke. Good. Just down the road from me. I'm in Reading, so good to see you. Hi, Chris. Thank you in Dunstable. Hi, Martin. Great to see you all. Thank you very much. Thanks for saying hi. It's going to be recorded as well. That's what I was mentioning as well. So you probably see in the top corner of the screen, this webinar is being recorded. So you can share it with your team later on. You can come back to it and look at it. All the resources that we talk about today on the web event are going to be available to you as well. So don't worry about taking notes too much about the slides. You'll get a copy of the slides. You'll get a copy of all the content. Just sit back, take it in, jot down the nuggets that come up for you. And then obviously, if you have any questions, please feel free to jump in. Hi, Gordon, as well. Good to see you. Right, without further ado, let's jump in, share my screen. So hopefully now, if you could just message for me that you can see my screen. Okay, it'd be good just to see that you can see my screen. Okay, cool, brilliant, thank you, fantastic. Got messages coming in, yeah, raised hands and messages. Thank you so much, brilliant. So a little bit about myself, just to give you a bit of background of who I am. So I'm a co-founder and COO of Clarity. So I'm a chartered accountant, been in the profession for 20 plus years, started, built and sold my own niche business advisory accounting firm. Actually sold two, but that's a different story. And very much the focus of what we do and what's close to our heart is helping business owners. And that's why I started my own accounting firm, to be able to do that, because we know, I'll come to our why in a moment, we know that if we can help business owners, then we can have a profound impact on the world. I'm also an international best-selling author. My book, The Profits Principles, I wrote that in 2016. I went to #1 in the UK and #2 in the US. So very fortunate to have that accolade. More importantly, you will get a concise copy of the book. So we've made it available with my publisher's consent to give you a concise version, just the core chapters to help you help your clients. And also, you can send this out to your clients. Just send it out to them free of charge. It's a PDF. We'll email it to you later on, so that you then have some resources to send to your clients to help them, because we'll go through this shortly as well. It's not just managing the storm that we're currently in, this uncertainty. It's also looking at how do we come out of it? How do we recover? And recover as quickly as possible. So there's that to consider too. So got some very practical and very simple how-tos in the book to help you manage what's going on now and also come out of the other side. So we get to speak at lots of different events as well. My co-founder Ainsley, so his journey into clarity is very similar to my own, very focused on niche business advisory. So Ainsley has Big Four experience and then started his own firm, Tay Tolan Accounting for Entrepreneurs. So he started that, built it, and then sold that in 2018. So when we've been very lucky as well, I say lucky, we put the work in obviously, but to get the recognition, we're very pleased and privileged to have that. The recognition for each of our firms to be able to win some awards before we sold them. So that's a little bit of background about us and who we are. And I just wanted to run through a very brief agenda with you today. Reiterate, this isn't a sales call. We're here to help. We are here to help. All of that experience, all of that knowledge that we've accumulated over the past 20 years, collectively, Ainsley and I, we've put together and we're giving it away to you today so that you can help your clients. This is the most important thing for us. So what we will do is go through today and look at how you can start to have these meaningful and valuable conversations with all of your clients. Most importantly, not just some, all of your clients. And then we're going to split it into two sections. So this is the update for any of you that joined this web event last week, or sort of previous, so it was last week. Absolutely, I'm losing track of time now. We changed. This uncertainty is causing more uncertainty, and what's going on in the world is pretty much changing by the hour, if not by the day. So things have changed. We've updated our content. So if you did watch last week, stay tuned to this one. There's some more content here to help. But what we've done is broken the help down into two areas. So helping those clients that can still trade, that have an element of trade that's still going on, or they're unaffected if they're very, very lucky. And for those who are effectively in lockdown, that they have no trade, we have a process to be able to help them to know what to do next. We'll then go through how you can actually help your clients with this. And then obviously how you can help your firm. So it's a bit like looking after your own health, like you're the number one asset in your life, your health and well-being, so physical, emotional, mental. It's the same principle for your business. So if you're an accounting firm, or if you're a bookkeeper, if you're a bookkeeping firm, you need to make sure that your firm is doing the right things and you're looked after, as well as helping your clients. So that is important too. So we'll look at that, and then we'll cover some practical next steps. Just to give you a little bit of background about why we're doing this, as I alluded to earlier, it's really close to our hearts. So Ainsley and I had this as our why for each of our respective accounting firms, but even more so for what we're doing at Clarity. We know that if we can give business owners clarity, they will have a better understanding of what's going on in the business. So particularly around numbers. You all know this. Business owners either don't understand the numbers, or they leave them to the last thing on the to-do list and they don't get done. So they either don't understand them, or they just don't know what they are. So if we can help them get clarity around the numbers, they'll then make a better decision. If they're making better decisions, they'll then have a better business. And by default, if they've got a better business, they will have a better life. Their family and their team and everyone who comes into contact with their business will have a better life. And then ultimately, they'll contribute towards a better world. So that is why we do what we do. This is why we're running this web event today. We're here to help. And I'll reiterate this again, please get in touch. I know sometimes, particularly in Britain, we're not great at asking for help. So we will remind people, but please do get in touch. Ainsley and I are here to help. We've with the lockdown, we've got more time on our hands. We're not doing as many events as we would normally. So we do have time to be able to help. Obviously, we're creating content and running these type of events online, running these events online for all of our members as well of the Clarity platform, so they can showcase these to their clients. And we're running them in conjunction with the accounting firms, so they can get to all of their clients quickly and then still have those one-to-one conversations with them too. So we're doing lots to help, but do lean on us as well. So do get in touch and help us. We'll help you. So help yourself by contacting us. You may have seen this slide before. This is close to our hearts as well. We fundamentally believe this. Accountants can save the world. We have this superpower. We are able to understand numbers and explain numbers to clients. We have this superpower, and all of our team have this superpower. And forgive me if I do some Freudian slips when I say our clients and our profession. I'm still a chartered accountant, although I'm not practicing anymore. But forgive me for that slip. But it's so important that we are using those superpowers to help our clients, because it's a strength they don't have. We have it in abundance. It is literally a superpower, and we need to do more to get out there and help them. And it was actually Prince Charles that said, an ICAW anniversary dinner a few years ago, that he believed this too. Accountants can save the world. Just coming back to our why: better business, better life, better world. If we can get them to understand the numbers, that will follow. So as a result, we have a responsibility, effectively. If you think about it, with great power becomes great responsibility. We need to be speaking to all of our clients. There's no excuses. We have to speak with all of our clients. There's an urgent need to do that right now. So definitely get on the phone to them, run events, leverage what we've got as well here to help. We need to be helping all of our clients. Now, you've probably seen as well, there's a lot of content going around on social media, and there's lots of different avenues of business. Business is multifaceted. Let's just state that now. And I'll probably repeat this as we go through, just to get the message across. So forgive me if you get it instantly, but business isn't one-dimensional. So just focusing on cash flow. Yes, cash is important. We all know the importance of cash, but so too is profit. So too is looking at your costs. So too is looking at how you're going to recover from the business. So too is looking at scenario planning, and going through all of that, all of these different aspects. Business isn't just about cash flow. So yes, it's hugely important. And for the right clients, we should be doing cash flow forecasts. And we'll talk about how we identify that in a moment. But make sure that you are taking a holistic view. So when you're speaking with your clients, that you're taking a holistic view and helping them in the relevant areas of their business. And we'll go through some of that today as well. We won't just look at cash, we'll look at those different areas too. At this point in time as well, it's a good reminder just to say, well, we need to reassess what's going on in the accounting firm. So right now, if it's business as usual, it'd be accounts and tax returns this type of time, corporate tax returns, potentially getting ready for some year ends with clients, giving advice around tax planning and so on. And then we had the IR35 stuff going on in the UK. I won't bore you with that for all of these years from the UK, but we had that going on as well. Now that's been postponed, that's been parked for a year. So let's park that. Okay, that's something we don't need to deal with right now. Yes, it's still important, but it's not urgent. So let's park that. So what we need to do now is, yes, we still got accounts and tax returns to do. Those that are getting close to deadline, get them done, absolutely. But what I'm going to suggest that you do is look at your team and see how much of a team, how much of a skeleton crew do you need on the normal day-to-day work in your accounting firm, in your bookkeeping firm, to do the bookkeeping, to do the payroll, to do the accounts and tax returns. How many do you need? Work that out, because then everybody else should be speaking to clients and they should be helping. As I said, the urgency is now, it's important and it's urgent. We need to do it now. We need to speak to as many as possible, even more so now because of what's happened here in the UK lockdown, and other countries are following suit. If you're not already in lockdown, I know the UK wasn't the first to go in, but we've certainly seen the effects here. It's completely changed, dramatically changed the landscape. I was speaking with Ainsley earlier today, and we were catching up and on our daily huddles, and we were talking about how GDP for this country is the worst. This month is the worst it's ever been since the financial crisis. And that was on the back of those 2 days, those past 2 days. We're now in day 3, if you're watching the recording, now in day 3 of lockdown in the UK. So because of those 2 days in lockdown yesterday, the GDP has plummeted. Basically, UK PLC has been put on hold. So we're in dramatic times, and we need to take dramatic and drastic action. This impacts everyone, goes without saying. Get everybody involved. You please need to get everybody involved. It's our responsibility. So just get your team to step up. They can do this. We'll talk through the process in a moment as well. One thing that you probably want to do, though, is have a plan of attack before you speak to all of your clients. So identify the clients most at risk first. Speak to those clients. Obviously, those that are in the sectors that are most effective. So travel, events, retail, leisure, entertainment, all of those that have been told by the government to shut down, you need to be speaking with them immediately if you haven't already. You probably well have, but any other businesses in those sectors, do speak with them. Similarly, because of the extra lockdown, there are other businesses that can't trade from home. So you need to be speaking with those clients as well. Don't forget about the contractors, the gig economy. Now, we'll look at what the government are doing here in the UK to help, and it's very similar throughout the world. But don't forget about these guys, the self-employed, gig economy, contractors. They still need our help. So you still need to speak with them as well. So don't forget them, speak to all of them. There'll be clients that you know that have low cash reserves. You just know that they operate hand to mouth. Speak with them. But just to reiterate again, you need to be speaking with every client. But if you can't just scattergun, shotgun approach to speaking with them, pick a priority, get your team to go through their client list, prioritize who they're going to speak to, and speak to those clients first, the ones that you can identify that are most at risk. And then away you go. Learn and adapt, and then be able to apply that learning. Share it with the team as well, where you can. Take the time to share what's going on with the calls that you're having and what you're finding, and then use that the next day to speak to your clients. Now, there is help from the government, so we'll just go through this very quickly. In the UK in particular, as I mentioned, this is what's being offered, very similar throughout the world. And I know at the time of writing, the US is signing off on their stimulus packages. So the main points here are the government are doing some things to help, but not everybody is benefiting. So at the moment in the UK, at the time of this web event, there isn't any specific help for the self-employed over and above the universal credit and sick pay, which is a bit of a non-starter, unfortunately, for them. I won't go into the details, but it's not going to work. Some good points, though, just to mention, the VAT, deferring the VAT payments is fantastic. Remember to cancel direct debits. You still need to file your VAT return, so don't forget that. I'm sure you know this already, but just as a reminder, file the VAT returns, but get the clients to cancel the direct debits. Otherwise, they will be taken. So cancel those direct debits. The HMRC have actually said that on their guidance. Have a look on their website. We've got their link to their website in our care call system as well, so you can have a look there, and that's updated daily. The job retention scheme, following employees, is a fantastic way to freeze the business effectively, if that can be done. And if the business is paying rates, if they have property, if they're in certain sectors, then there's an opportunity there to get some rebates as well. The challenge at the moment we have is that this is coming. It's not in now. We need it now. It's coming. But the government, from what I understand, are working as hard as they can. What they're working on at the moment is the coronavirus business interruption loan scheme, or CBILS for short, where they're offering loans to help businesses ride this out. However, what we are seeing very early on is very mixed. Well, mostly actually that the banks aren't helping. I'm not tarring everybody with the same brush in all of the banks, but of the lenders in the UK that are eligible to be able to offer CBILS, they either don't have anything in place yet, and that they're looking to have something by the end of this week or by the end of next week, again, which isn't helping because we need it quickly. And some banks that we've heard from businesses have said to us that they are not getting involved. If you've been impacted by the coronavirus, we're not going to support you, which goes completely against what the whole principle of the CBILS legislation is about. So it's just bizarre. So do bear in mind that although there are things to help, we may not be able to rely on these things. So we still need to be savvy with our clients and help them and go through a proper process. And time to pay, obviously, that's an important one. If there are tax bills, payroll bills, corporation tax, whatever it would be, if you have issues paying, or potentially will have, now's the time to speak to the government to get a time to pay process set up. You don't need to necessarily confirm it now, because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone in the next 6 months, if you're going to pay it over 6 months. But that definitely start the conversations just so that they are aware of what's going on, so that we can have those conversations with the revenue. Now, I've got a few questions come in. If you bear me 1 second, I'm going to stop sharing my screen to get them to pop up, because sometimes Zoom doesn't play ball. So let's just jump into the chat, jump into the questions. Okay, there we go. So hi everybody. Yeah, good sir. Can see it fine. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Good. Yes, thank you, Ainsley, for the comments. The slides you'll have a recording. Resources will be made available to all. Fantastic. We'll be sending a copy of the slides to all registrants along with the recording. Absolutely. This is not to diss the NHS or other healthcare professionals. Absolutely not. We're here to help. Right now, this is the important thing. We all need to come together collectively, and we're not putting anybody down. We're not saying that the banks are bad. We're just reporting what we're seeing. Now, the banks are largely out there, I'm sure, will be helping. But what we're seeing is that there's challenges out there, and we all need to be pulling together. And in this lockdown state, obviously, we need to support the National Health Service, but particularly here in the UK. The further the virus spreads, the more reliant we are going to be on the NHS, and we need to look after those people, particularly the ones most at risk, most vulnerable. Okay, Philip, thank you. We understood that they would not take the direct debit. Well, the guidance that I've seen from the revenue said cancel them anyway for VAT payments. So that's what I would do, just as a precaution. It's very easy to set up again, but just as a precaution, I would be saying to clients, cancel the direct debit for VAT, just in case. I'm pretty sure I read that on the HMRC website with their guidance about VAT. And Keith, thank you. So are the statutory self-employment pay, do you know if this has passed into law? No, as far as I'm aware, it's not passed yet. It's still draft legislation. It hasn't been released yet. What I would suggest you do for anything that you want to know about the measures that your government, whichever country you're in, as we've got people here from Australia and Canada and the US, as well as Ireland and UK, have a look in the care system that I'll send across to you later on. We have a list, an appendix, a list of links that you can go to your government's website, and you'll be able to see what measures they're doing to help small businesses, and that's updated daily. So as far as I'm aware, there's not been anything passed for self-employment just yet. So yeah, thank you. Some of you have jumped in and answered the question there. That's a good question, Gary. So Gary's asking, will HMRC be charging interest? So from what I understand, they won't be charging interest on deferred payments where they've been, so VAT and self-assessment. From what I understand, do double check. As I said, I'm a chartered accountant. I'm still not in practice at the moment, though. But from what I understand, they aren't charging because that's part of the deferral. However, with payroll liabilities, with corporation tax, there aren't any deferral programs with that at the moment. So if you do owe anything, if your clients owe anything on that, they will be charged interest unless they have a time to pay arrangement in place. So that's why we're saying start the conversation now to hopefully stop that interest being charged, or at least get it wiped off once it's been agreed. And then when the time is right, obviously agree what that payment plan will look like. Absolutely, don't cancel the direct debit if you're expecting a refund. Well, I think, Keith, actually what happens in the UK, it's a slightly different method. They have your bank account on record in a different way. So the direct debit is for taking payments, not receiving payments. So if you are due refunds are coming through, VAT refunds are coming through as normal. So always definitely file your VAT returns. If you've got refunds, they're coming through as normal, but just be careful with the direct debit. Yeah, and Andrew, thank you, Andrew. Yeah, agreed, Steve. Spoke to HMRC yesterday, who said VAT direct debit should be cancelled, otherwise payments will be taken. Yeah, I just don't think they're capable of not stopping the direct debits themselves. So definitely take that action. It's just a precaution as well. So brilliant. Thank you for your comments there and your questions. I'm going to jump back into the slides now. I can see some more comments coming through, but we'll come back to those shortly. So let's play the rest of these slides. So we talked about the government help. Just as a reminder, so what are we doing at Clarity? So the whole premise of what we're doing at Clarity is making business simple. So the same ethos applies here, and what we're doing with helping accounting firms speak to more of their clients and helping those clients understand what's going on. It all comes down to these three premises, is that we're helping clients understand their numbers and then help them to easily see how they can improve them, help them create a step-by-step guide to improve their business, build their ideal business, and then help them get access to cash to be able to, an easier way, go through an easier due diligence process to be able to get that cash to grow and exit their business. Now, these three things still remain the same. Unfortunately, we're in a very precarious situation. All of the countries in the world are globally. We're now looking at disaster planning effectively. So all of these three premises still apply. So instead of helping clients to be able to grow and improve their business, now there is a time and place for that. Once things, we start getting out of the coronavirus situation and we hit recovery, that is the ideal time to be looking at that. But right now, what we need to be doing is disaster planning with our clients and really helping them go through what they need to do in their business, just to either keep it going, to freeze it, or to adapt and be able to do something that's slightly different. This is an opportunity. With every challenge, there's always an opportunity. So it's about important that they have the right mindset, and so do you and your team too as well. So what I'm going to suggest now, if I'm going to stop sharing this screen, I'm going to dive into my other screen, and I'm going to share with you Clarity and the guide that we have created. So hopefully now you'll see a split screen. So on the left-hand side, we here have the Clarity platform. I'm just going to log into this particular company, this test company here, and I've got some data for this business. And on the right-hand side, what we have here is the COVID-19 care call system. So this is a guide that we put together so that you can use with your team. All of your team can do this, so that they can speak to all of their clients and all of your clients, however you're structured within your firm, so that every single one of your clients gets some care and attention. So obviously, as a human factor first and foremost, but there's a structure around the conversation. You know, they want to know that you're there to help, and we need to be more proactive than ever. We can't sit back and wait for the clients to contact us. Not many people, as I mentioned, particularly in Britain, we don't ask for help that often. It's not one of our traits. We have a stiff upper lip. So with our clients, we need, even more so than ever, truly proactive. We need to be contacting the client first, giving them helpful and valuable information that's timely. And that's my definition of proactive. We need to be doing that with all of our clients. So just to go through what we've got in here in the Care Call systems, we have a bit of an explanation as to what it is, why we're doing it, so that you can explain to your team. There's a video guide as well to go through the process, so you can have that conversation, so your team can watch it as a training exercise if they want to, and then they can roll it out to their clients. And you can take the bull by the horns by this as well. Now I'm just going to zoom out a little bit just so you can see a little bit more of the screen. We've got step process here, and I'm going to go through this very quickly. You're going to have all of the detail in here. It's fairly straightforward. It's a simple step-by-step process that anyone can follow, and everything here is all in writing. I'm going to do it on the left-hand side as we go through this. But the point of this is do it as quickly as you possibly can. So leverage those priorities, those clients that you need to speak to first, and then go through this process with them. So the first thing, as to say, step one, is get the client's data into Clarity. Now, for those of you who are members, I know we have some members of the Clarity platform on the web event today. You'll know this already, but forgive me for explaining to those that don't. You can connect the data to Xero and QuickBooks Online. So you can take the data out of Xero and QuickBooks Online straight into Clarity. You then get presented with this data, the screen, and the 7 key numbers screen. For those clients that are on different accounting software, you can upload or manually enter a P&L and balance sheet. So 15 numbers effectively from the current period. And you can also do the comparative too if you want to have some comparatives to share. But these little numbers at the top, they show what the performance change has been. But by all means, just stick on the current figures, the most up-to-date information from management reports or from the most recent year-end accounts, just so that you've got something in there to have a conversation with the client about. So obviously, the more up-to-date the information, the better, but we need to be getting this information in so that we can then start to have the conversation. So we've got that data in, the data's updated daily from QuickBooks and Xero. And then what we're going to do then is choose the most relevant month that we need to speak to the client about. So it could be, for argument's sake, I don't know, with this particular client, we're in March now, maybe their January figures are up to date. We can then have a look and see what their figures look like. I'm not going to go into the details of Clarity. This isn't the time or place for that. This is the most important things with regards to the Clarity Care Call system. There we go, get my teeth in. This is the important information that you can share with your clients to give them some calm, to show that you care, but then also help them plan, help them understand what to do next. So that we're not going to focus on these numbers. I'm not going to explain them in great detail. We're just going to focus on the most important ones. Yes, we have lots of content. You can gorge on our YouTube channel and all of our other content out there about what this other information means. But for now, let's just focus on the most relevant ones. There is a different calculation method within Clarity as well, just to let you know that. You can see here as step 1B. If the client's business is seasonal or is volatile, you know, it's either high growth or having high impact with challenges right now, then you can change the calculation within the settings. I'm not going to show you right now how to do that, but you just go to the settings for the business from the main menu, and then you can change the calculation methods. If you get stuck, let me know. But it's a very simple process to do that. So now that you've done that, what you're going to do before you have the client call, what you're going to do is look at the core cash target. So we're following the guide here on the right-hand side. The core cash target is here. What we're saying with this, the core cash target, this figure here, this 81K, that is the figure that ideally this business should have in their bank account to be able to pay their taxes, and so their sales tax, their business tax, and their payroll tax, and also to have 2 months worth of reserves of overheads. So the idea there is that you've got all of the tax charges that you need in cash, and you also have 2 months worth of overheads. That's building a resilient balance sheet, if you like, building a buffer, a cash reserve for the business. Now, at this, we can see this particular business, it doesn't have that. So we can then diagnose immediately. So if you think of this as like, I suppose, triaging. So what this number here does immediately, so this is before we even speak to the client, remember, this is for us going in and prepping, well, our mindset and the type of conversation we're going to be having with the client. Where are we on the triage scale? Are we doing life-saving operation, or are we putting on a band-aid, somewhere in between? So for this particular business, because their actual cash is below their reserve, okay, they're not going to be band-aid. They're not going to be life-saving because, you know, they have a decent cash position there. So they're going to be somewhere in between, but probably closer towards a life-saving operation. So there needs to be a level of urgency here that we speak to the client about. So from that perspective, we know they've got some cash, but they're going to potentially use that quite quickly. What we can also do quickly as well, whilst we're on this page, is have a look at what the cash days is telling us, just to give us some idea of what's going on with the business. But we'll come to that in a moment in the future screen. Now, we also need to look at what the figures here. So this looks holistically at the business, these numbers, the P&L, the balance sheet, the cash statement. So this is written team efficiency. This is a holistic view of the business. There is a trap though for us to get drawn into at this moment in time. As I mentioned, you can get drawn into cash, looking at cash only. We still need to look at the P&L, and we still need to look at the balance sheet. So we need to look at the debtors and creditors as well. And we'll come into the importance of that shortly as well. So now what we're going to do is then look at what to do next. So we've gone through here. So we've gone through this process here with comparing the core cash targets actual. Where are they actually going to be? Looking at with their receivables and payables. Is there a funding gap? And what can they do to weather the storm? And then triaging them. Have they got more cash? Have they got a little bit less cash? Or have they got negative difference in terms of their core cash target? So we need to be looking at those areas. Then the next step, what we're going to do is look at the future screen. And instead of improving the business, we're going to look at disaster planning. So for this particular business, we're going to say, well, what happens, let's say for argument's sake, if we move it back by 10%? What's the impact on the business there? And let's say for argument's sake, if they lose, say, 3 points on gross profit, what's the impact of the business there? So we're just getting some context into mind. We're going to go through a proper process with the client shortly. But the idea here is that we're going to just set in our mind where the situation is. So if they're only affected a little bit by the uncertainty right now, we can see effectively that in terms of profit, that there's an extra 35K of cash, of costs effectively to save, to break even, to stand still. But it's not just profit we're looking at cash as well. So let's say for argument's sake that their debtors, their cash days, you know, that's working capital, the whole working capital cycle. So debtor days plus WIP days plus stock days minus creditor days. If that then pushed out to say 45 days instead of 34, what impact does that have? Well, that's a negative 10K on cash. So we can then see the impact on cash. We need an extra 45K, and their profit here, you see they need to do some costs trimming of 35K, or potentially some revenue generation if that is possible. And coming back to this business, we can then say, well, what's the actual balance? Well, they've got 70K in cash, 69K. They may well be able to ride this out if that is the situation. So again, they're not a band-aid, they're not life-threatening operation with that triage process. So we've got in mind they're somewhere in the middle. They've got some good reserves, but we certainly need to be speaking with them. Now, the likelihood is that 10% may not be enough. So what we could be looking at is say, well, is it 30%? What's the impact there? Now that drastically changes. You can see now that they don't have enough cash in the business to weather the storm. And they now have to find, you know, costs savings or extra revenue of 82K. Potentially, is it 50%? So you can then start to get into mind what's going on, where you're going to lead the conversation based on what the client says to you. So we have created a draft agenda in the pack. So you would send that out to the client. So now you've got the mindset, you know exactly how you're going to speak to the client. You're going to send an email out to the client about getting the call in place. You're going to send out the draft agenda to them to go through here, just reading through what's on the step-by-step guide. And then make sure that yes, we've got it here, make sure that you're clear in terms of what you're going to do and start and end time, so you're respectful of their time and they're respectful of yours. You're then going to go through a call. I'll go through that in a moment. And then you're going to follow up with regards to what needs to happen next. So here's the example email that you can send out. So a generic email that you can send out to all your clients. Not going to go through it now, but you can read it in the pack. A specific email that you can send out to your clients to get the meeting books in, and then an email sending out the confirmation about the agenda and what you're going to do to help them. Now, the system for going through the call, what you're going to do is you're going to do the same principle as you did previously. You're going to get the data correct, get the right month, and then say to them, this is the current situation, this is ideally what you should have. And obviously these are extreme circumstances. So what we're looking to see now is that what actual cash balance you have compared to. So we have something, which is great. We do have a buffer, but then let's go and see what's going to happen. So what you're going to then do is speak to the client and say, right, what is actually going to happen? What do you think is going on right now in your business? And effectively, they'll come into two camps. That's either that the client still has some trade, they still have some income coming in, or they have none because they're on lockdown. Now, if they're on none and they're in lockdown, we'll go to another system in a moment to go through that. If they do have some income coming in, then this is the process that we would go through. So we would then say to them, effectively, I'm going to paraphrase, I'm not going to read all of the information here, I'm just going to go through that principle with you. What you're going to do is say to the client, right, so with regards to revenue, what do you think the impact is going to be? And they'll tell you what's going on, because they will either lost customers already, that they would have had conversations, they may have had to give discounts. They'll know what's going on. What we're doing here is creating that time and space for the clients to tell us what's going on within their business, and we're going to listen to them and adjust the figures. They may say to us, we're going to lose 25% of revenue, let's say, for argument's sake. If they don't know or don't have anywhere to start, you can say to them, right, let's have a look. Let's put it at 10% just to start the conversation, to see where we can go, and then see what we can do from there. So what impact does that have, and we'll work from there. So if they really don't have a clue, we can go from there. Obviously, again, the human connection, they're probably going to be very stressed, and they just need someone to bring them some calm. We don't understand numbers. Let's show them what the numbers tell us, and then be able to bring that level of certainty, that clarity, if you will, to be able to help them understand what's going on within their business. So that they've said to you, they might lose 25%. Then they might say, again, what's going on with gross profit? They might say, well, actually, we're going to incur extra costs to deliver some of this stuff. So that's, we're going to probably lose 5% on gross profit percentage. What does that look like? And then from a cash perspective, they may say, well, it's likely that it's going to double. It's going to take us double the amount of time to get paid. So this is what the situation is. We're going to go out to 60 days instead of 30, 34. And then from here, we can then scroll back up to the top. And then this instantly gives us the conversation to say to the client, right, from an overheads, cost cutting perspective, and I'm looking at direct cost to sale perspective as well. We need to be looking at how we can trim this off of the P&L. But then we also need to be aware that potentially we're in a bit of a hole. So we've got 95K of cash that we're going to be down potentially. We've got 69. We need to find some cash, and we need to cut the costs. So what can we do immediately? So there's things in here that in the system. So I'm just going to go through the agenda here. What we've got here, the agenda for your team. This is the agenda for your team that lays out questions that you can ask your client. So at this point in time, so we're talking about the revenue, the possible effects. How much will you lose? How much will you lose in revenue? What customers will you lose? Do you have to give discounts? Who's going to be slow paying? So all of these questions around here help stimulate the conversation, which I've already gone through right now. Again, we're explaining that we've gone through and explained the level of urgency and triage their business. And then what we're going to do is work with them to be able to, how to mitigate this. What can we do? So can we offer payment holidays? Can we offer discounts? Can we work with particular suppliers and get payment holidays from them? Can we get things put on freeze? What costs can we cut? What costs are non-essential? Think about travel and subsistence right now. No one's going to be doing that really, unless you're in a particular business service that is helping frontline personnel. So that's going to be completely reduced. So there are some cost savings there. Obviously, with the government measures, potentially you could furlough some employees. That will help from a cost saving perspective as well. So there's that to consider too. Speak to the insurance companies. Are you covered? Now, the likelihood is probably not, unfortunately, because they tend to work on a named virus basis. And because the COVID-19 is new, it won't happen. But if you're in a professional clients in a sector where they have government shutdown protection, then potentially they will be covered, but they need to be speaking to the insurance companies. Speak to the tax authorities, as we said already, discuss time to pay, find out what they're doing to help as well. Look at the links on their website. Again, the guide, all of the information's in the guide that we'll send across to you as well. So this guide on the right-hand side of the screen. Speak to the banks, obviously. So if the business already has borrowings or has overdrafts, speak to the bank. Can they extend credit facilities? Can they do payment holidays? Can they reduce charges? Just general common sense stuff that sometimes gets overlooked because of the heat of the moment in terms of what's going on. Speak to the team. Most importantly, get your clients to speak to the team so that they understand what's going on. They understand what's going on within the business. They understand where they stand with their own job, with what their income is as well. And speak to your customers as well. Let them know what you're doing to support them, and continuing to keep them moving forward. Obviously, capital expenditure, you're probably going to delay that unless you really have to make it. Then you would definitely look at financing options. But cancel all discretionary spending as much as you can, and just really look at every overhead. Now, don't cut costs for the sake of it. And people still need to be paid. There's a morality and ethical view here to consider too. So if you want to get paid, then you still need to pay other people. It is possible that we end up in a situation where nobody's paying anybody. Direct debits are being cancelled, nobody's paying anybody, and then we're actually in a state of freeze, and we're going to be in a very bad position there. If you are in a position to pay people, your suppliers, make sure that you pay them. They've provided the services, but look at how you can get cash in as well. Let's all play the game together. Let's see if we can move the cash around so that everybody's got something coming in, so we can keep the businesses going and can keep the move, get them ready for when the recovery happens. Once you've gone through that process with the clients, what we're then going to be looking at is what happens then? What do you do then? Well, what we can actually do from within Clarity is create an action plan. So we've gone through the information with the client. They've told us where they need to get to. What we've also got here with revenue per employee, just to give us a signpost, although this is a measure of team efficiency, it's just something to bear in mind that, well, actually, if we maintain the same level of team efficiency, so team output of that reduced revenue, the system's telling us we only need 1.5 full-time equivalent team members. So do we put the team members down onto part-time pay? What happens there? So it just gives some idea. It's not a measure itself, but it just gives you an idea in terms of what's possible and leads to some additional work that you can help the clients with. So once that's done, once you've gone through this process, you can create an action plan. Now I'm going to replace the existing action plan that I already have. And from here, yes, there are these questions in here are great for helping your clients when you're looking to improve and grow the business. Now, some of them are probably still relevant now. Very few of them are still relevant now when you're looking at disaster planning. But instead of starting with all of those questions in there, what we're going to do is delete all tasks, hit the delete button. And whilst that's deleting them, what you can then do is start to create an action plan with the client. So the client might say, right, okay, yep. So I'm going to speak to the bank about X, Y, and Z. So you put the information in here. For the sake of time, I'm not going to do it. You're going to put in who is responsible for it, and then when that's going to get done, most importantly. And then if you're not sure which section to put it in, just put it in any section. It doesn't matter. Click the save button, and that task gets added. Now, once the tasks are in here, they'll prioritize based on due dates. So that's automatically done for you. So the most relevant tasks are at the top. You can download that as a PDF. You can attach your firm logo. I'm not going to show you now, but by all means, have a play with it if you want to. And then you can email it to the client. So they then have a clear action plan of what they need to get on with. You've helped that client. And then what you can do is follow up with them afterwards to make sure that they have done what they're supposed to have done and see whether they need any more help. Now, for some clients, that will be enough. They'll go away with that and say, right, yep, I know what I need to do. Let's get those bits and bobs done. For other clients that are more at risk, potentially they're going to need a budget and a cash flow forecast done. Maybe they don't know what their overheads are. Maybe they need you to go through the P&L with them line by line, or someone in your team to do that and see what can be cut and what can't. You just need someone expert help to be able to do that, someone hand holding. So these are other things that you can offer. Yes, by all means, use other technology and apps to help. So there's some fantastic tools out there to help with 12-month budgeting and cash flow forecasting, creating dashboards to help as well if you need it. But focus on the priorities here for the client. Don't use technology if you don't need to. Technology is not a panacea anyway. It's about bringing technology, people, and process together, all three married together to actually get stuff done. So you can't rely just on technology. So you need to be having these conversations with clients, and those that need that extra help, do leverage it. Now it's up to you whether you charge for that. Obviously, accounting is time for money effectively. So what we're suggesting is that you have these calls with your clients, for free. This is proactive and helpful for them. And as I said, all the other work can be parked. They need us more than any time right now. So we need to be in their corner whilst our clients need us. But any subsequent work that you're doing, that obviously that's more involved, it's up to you where you want to draw the line there with what is chargeable and what's not. And I'll leave it up to you to decide on an individual basis. And considering the client's position and what position you are in as a firm as well. So bear that in mind. And then, as we mentioned here, you've got the follow-up call as well. So the agenda there, this is the agenda you can send out to your client. The Appendix A, so where a business, so if you go through this process and let's say for argument's sake, if I just jump back into the future screen and the numbers, the client says, we're on lockdown. So we've lost all of our revenue. We're not getting anything in. Then it's all hands on deck. We need to help this client. Effectively, what we want to do is freeze that business if we can, ideally. So before we tell them, I'll just close it down, give up. What we want to be doing is saying, right, can we freeze this business? And this is where Appendix A comes in. So those that have income, more rev trade coming in, we've gone through that process. Now we're looking at those that if they don't have any revenue coming in because they're in lockdown, what can we do to help? So same principles before. We can get the data into Clarity, go through this process. Now, if they aren't on QuickBooks, if they're not connected on Clarity, don't have to use Clarity for this. So if they're not on Clarity, just use a spreadsheet. If they're on QuickBooks Online, if they're on Xero, if they're on any other online accounting software, or any other accounting software for that matter, download the last 3 months bank statements. If they're not on accounting software, download the CSV file or the Excel spreadsheet from the online banking. Get a client to do that and send it to you. Go through the last 3 months worth of costs and create a spreadsheet. It's very simple and straightforward to do. What are the outgoings? What are the monthly outgoings? What ones can be cancelled and how much are they? What ones can't be cancelled? What ones can be reduced? And then what's the difference there? So then we have, by the end of going through all of those transactions, we'll have a clear understanding of the costs that we have to incur, the costs we can get rid of completely, and the costs potentially we can reduce. We then have an action plan that you can build, the client can then focus on. Right, these ones need to be cancelled, cancel these costs. We don't need to be carrying any of these anymore. These ones need to speak to the supplier to get them to reduced or to change whatever it needs to be done. Speaking with suppliers anyways, we mentioned about what can be done to help reduce costs of payment holidays. And then looking at, right, these are the costs we're stuck with. So how much is that? And then effectively, what you're saying is with these costs, we then, if let's say it's going to take 6 months, let's just say rule of thumb, it's going to take 6 months for us to come out of the other side of this. We need to have 6 times this figure of the costs that we can't get rid of in reserve, in cash, to keep the business frozen. Do we have that cash? And if we don't, how are we going to get it? So that then is a very simple process for you to be able to look at how can we then move this business, keep this business frozen, but then still help them move forward once all of this stuff is blown over. Again, leveraging government help, leveraging the C-bills. So speaking to the banks, getting help from them. If what their guidance actually is, if you have a legitimate business and you have a case that because of the coronavirus that is just stopped your trade, and if it didn't exist, you'd still have a business, they will work with you. That's the general rule of thumb. As we said, we're hearing at the moment in the UK that banks aren't necessarily playing ball. Again, that's not all banks, that's just a handful that we've heard of. So we're not tarring them all with the same brush, but the important thing is to speak to the banks, find out if there's an opportunity there to help. Obviously look at different ways of being able to help, and adaptation, coming back to this human nature that we have. How can we adapt? What else can we do? What are the core business services or products? And how can we still provide those? And what can we do? Can we leverage that to provide something online instead of in person? You know, there's a lot of change and adaptation happening right now. Particularly for self-employed people, like personal trainers and music teachers I've seen online, who are now doing things online instead of doing them face-to-face. So there's still opportunity out there. It's not all doom and gloom. We can pivot, we can adapt. So there's opportunities to look at there. And obviously most countries as well, you can follow your team. So if you have no revenue in this case, because of the coronavirus, you can mark your team as furloughed, and then you can claim 80% of their pay back from the government. Unfortunately, there's a cash gap at the moment. That's not going to be available in the UK until April. Potentially, you're going to need to fund, it's not just March and April. So if that money doesn't come in until May, so just bear that in mind as well. But then obviously, if you do use Clarity for these clients, you can use the action plan in the same way. But it's a very simple broad brush approach. You can look at what these are the costs and you need to look at. And again, coming back to, don't just look at the P&L, don't just look at cash in isolation in regards to the P&L, look at cash and the balance sheet. And we've already looked at the core business and adaptation there as well. What are the accounts receivables saying to you? And is that money going to come in? What's happening there? Can we say with certainty that how much is going to be coming in? That's another way of getting cash in. Obviously, we do have accounts payable as well. So your trade creditors, who do we need to pay? So we need to be looking at that as well. So there's a step 3A and 3B. And then planning around that. You can build a very quick basic cash flow forecast by multiplying the costs you can't get rid of by 6 months, let's say, for argument's sake, looking at what you think money will come in, looking at money that you think needs to go out. And then very quickly, you have an understanding, and so does your client, of the cash that's required for their business. And then do they have that cash in the bank account? And then looking at those other areas. So yeah, creating a simple cash flow forecast. Don't need to use technology if you don't have to. Obviously, there are apps out there to be able to help you do that. And then you can see the level of urgency, whether they need to speak to the bank, get in touch with the government, and then take the necessary action there. And again, work out that plan with the client. But for the upside, again, just coming to that, I'm just going to touch on it very briefly, conscious of time. Be prepared for that as well. So what we want to be doing is keeping our clients in a good position so that they can ride this storm out. But then once the recovery starts, once those green shoots come through, we are then ready to actually help them push the button and say, brilliant, right, we can ramp up now. So this new business that we've created effectively, because of the adaptation we've had to make, let's ramp that up now. Going back to our core business, right, what do we now need to do to plan and help this business get back to where it used to be? And again, you can use Clarity to be able to help you do that very easily. At the back of the guide, as I mentioned here, we've got the appendix of all the links to the relevant government pages that are showing how they can help clients. So you have these, they're updated daily, check them. That's where you'll get the most relevant information, rather than looking at just social media. Now, I see we've got a few more questions come in. I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat now before we dive back into the slides. So there we go. Oh, you're very welcome. Oh, thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're pleased to be able to help. So thank you for your kind words. Really appreciate it. Fine. Okay. Yeah, Keith. Yeah, it's one of those challenges with the direct debits. I think just to be prudent, we should definitely cut those off. Sharon, we're building worst case scenarios in Float, but this looks like a better first step before considering Float. Absolutely. I mean, technology's there to help. We're all in this together. If there was ever a time for collaboration in the profession, not just from professionals, if you like, from accountants and bookkeepers and advisors, but from the tech, from the app providers, it's now. We are in this boat together. We all need to be working together. We're doing what we can to collaborate with all of the other apps out there. But it's a great point, Sharon. We feel it's the same approach. This is the first step before you then start going into cash flow forecasts and dashboards and budgets and things. You don't necessarily need to do that straight off the bat. Have the conversation first, go through that triage process, bring some calm to the client as well, help them understand what's going on. They'll feel better than knowing that you're in their corner, helping them. And then if it's relevant, if it's needed, go through to those other apps. They are there to help, absolutely. Steve, would you use the full agenda as provided, or would you just send out the headlines? So yeah, when you're sending the headline, when you send the agenda out to the clients, what I would do is just attach the agenda for the client. So not the one for your team, send the agenda out that's for your clients, just so that they understand what's going on, and that there's some structure to it. They know the start time and the finish time as well. And that helps everybody, because obviously time is of the essence right now for everyone. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Stephen. All seems quite logical, but good to hear it put across coherently. Thank you very much. Please, and we're here to help. Sharon, yes, I love how we're all putting together. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic that we're in times like these, we're united against a common challenge. So it does, liven up the human spirit and pull us all together. So, that B word, Brexit, has been long forgotten in the UK. So we now have that division that was created. Hopefully we're starting to heal that, but unfortunately it's taken this uncertain times to be able to heal that. But it is a fantastic opportunity. Always look to see if you can see the positives within the changes that are going on. We've been making Clarity freely available to delegates for a while. So Daniel, what we've actually done is we've made free access available. So just 2 weeks worth, so 14 days, you can get access to Clarity for free. As many clients as you want, as many team members as you want. In that period, get as many clients onto the platform, have as many conversations as you possibly can. To be honest, you probably wouldn't want to be talking to clients after 2 weeks, after these initial conversations. So you need to do that within at least the next 2 weeks anyway. So that's more than enough time to get these conversations going with your clients. What we have done as well, if you then want to continue to use Clarity, we have offered 50% off for 3 months so that you can then leverage the power within Clarity and get all of your team speaking to your clients and creating these plans of actions and continue that going for your clients. So we've got it for free. 14 days is more than enough to speak to all of your clients, to be able to have that. So put the plan in place. As I said, go through that progress. I'll go through the practical next steps in a moment, and then leverage Clarity to be able to do that. Stevie, what we're also doing, oh yes, thank you, Amy, for the reminder. What we're also doing tomorrow, so we're talking about collaboration. So tomorrow, I appreciate time is important, but if you did want to see how some of the apps are putting together, we're working with Xavier, which you may have heard of, and Futurely. So the three of us are working together to be able to help. This was going to be like a normal process before all of this kicked off, but we've tailored it slightly so that it can be used for the COVID-19 situation as well. So you can see then how, from leading from Xavier into Clarity and into Futurely, you can see then how all of the data can be used, very similar to what we've gone through today, but leveraging those other two apps to help, and then being able to work collaboratively and have those better conversations. Cool, thank you, Amy, for that. Daniel, you're very welcome. You're very welcome indeed. Question, Simon, Companies House filing deadlines. Is there a 2-month automatic extension, or do you have to apply online for 3 months? Good question. I haven't heard about an automatic extension, Simon. I would imagine though, I've done this in the past with clients in extreme circumstances, you can ask for an extension. In this circumstance, I would actually, it's a great idea. I would speak to them. If you have clients coming up for filing deadlines, will be in March, that'll be June year ends, I think. If you have got those deadlines coming up, contact Companies House now and see if you can get extensions. They're probably going to be very, very busy. Do it now. We've got less than a week left, so hopefully you can get a response back in time. But I would imagine they would be open to that because of the uncertain circumstances right now. So very good point, Simon, there. Thank you for asking that question. Okay, we have some other comments come in. Oh, yeah, so Sharon's answered that. Thank you, Sharon. So you do have to apply for the Companies House extension. Thank you, Mike, as well. You said the same thing, and that automatically approving. Oh, fantastic. Well, there you go. Definitely do that. That buys us some more time as well, so that we can then get more of our resources into helping the clients that we need. The one thing, actually, good point, Ainsley. Ainsley just mentioned on the comments, by delaying the filing of the accounts, it could potentially affect their credit rating. So if there are clients that are looking to borrow money, we probably do want to be having those accounts up there, so that particularly if those figures are better than the previous year's accounts as well, if they've got a stronger balance sheet as an example. So we want to be considering those points too. So great point there, Ainsley. Thank you very much. You must request a deadline of Companies House before the deadline. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for that comment. And Margaret, thank you, Stephen. Your presentation really helpful. Keep safe. Thank you very much, and you too. Thank you very much. Everybody keep safe. Right, before we go, let's just jump back into the slides. Just to wrap up, what I would like to share with you, just as a reminder, I'm not going to go through these. We've gone through this. They're in the slides. You have a copy of it. This is just a synopsis of what we went through on the screen in regards to helping your clients continue, who can continue their business, and then also for those that are locked down, on what we can do to help them. So this is just a recap, a reminder in short form, so that you can share that with your team or just remind yourself in terms of what you're able to do. So I'm not going to go through that now. Just as a reminder with the agenda, again, this isn't a sales call, but by all means, the comments we've had about leveraging Clarity, please use it. It's for free. Just use it for in those 14 days, perfect window to get all of that work done. And if you don't use Clarity again after that, you know, that you can wait until the upturn. Absolutely. We're here to help at the end of the day, and leverage Ainsley and myself to be able to help you and your team and your clients as well. So this isn't a sales call. We're here to help. Ultimately, coming back to that better business, better life, better world. So please focus on that and make sure that you're helping your clients understand what's going on. We've gone through what you can do to help the clients who can still trade. We've gone through what you can do to help the clients who are in lockdown and what to do, how you can help your clients. We've gone through that process with the cash flow forecasts and leveraging app, doing budgets. In addition to that, as I mentioned, you will get a concise version of my book to be able to help your clients. So again, send that information out to them. They can have a read of it if they have time. They may well like to see what's going on or what's possible within the business, and it saves you a bit of time too, but also get your team to read it. There's some very, very simple steps in there that will help with what's going on right now, and particularly from the up curve once that comes as well. Don't forget to do this for your firm. Health starts with you first. Same with business. Health starts with your firm. Do this first. So practical next steps. This is where we've got to. Prioritize your clients. Remember that prioritization. You've got the slides. You'll have a copy of the slides. You'll go to be able to see what's going on there with who you should be prioritizing. But remember, speak to all of your clients. Do not judge. Make sure that everyone, even more so with lockdown, you need to speak to every client. And time is of the essence, because very quickly businesses will be going out of business. And they may not understand the options available to them, and they're probably in a lot of stress right now. So we need to be there to offer in this level of calm, and so they can see a clear path out of it. Follow the care call system that we've created. You'll be getting a copy of that. Use the action plan, use the content from my book, use the apps that are out there. We've created loads of content as well that you've probably seen on social media and on our YouTube channel and website. Leverage that and then make sure that you're doing this for your firm as well. As next steps for today, take action. It's most important to take action today. So if you're not already a member of Clarity, sign up for today. It's free for 14 days. Get all of your clients on, get all of your team on. We're here to help you. Let us do some of that work for you as well. Let us help you get this process up and running. Start having those conversations. So you've got that opportunity there. And as I said, if you don't use Clarity after that period, completely understand it. Absolutely, there's no pressure. We just want you to, we've got this tool. You may as well use it, you know. Please definitely leverage that tool. Also as well, you get a copy of that concise version of my book, just those key main chapters that are going to benefit your clients right now. You can send it out to your clients. You have my permission, my publisher's permission. Send it out to your clients. Use it for your team and yourself. There's some very good, simple tips in there to be able to be helping right now. And of course, you get the care call system as well for being on the call today. Just before we wrap up, what I want to do is just remind you that we've got this slide on here. So Graham, this is one of our members. So you know he has taken action with his business. This was a little while ago, and you can see that he made some extra revenue by speaking to his clients, which is fantastic. That's what Clarity is all about. It's win-win-win situation. The thing here is, you know, it's not all about generating extra revenue for the firm. It's not about helping the client necessarily or helping the team. Those are important, absolutely. The key point I wanted you to take from this message from Graham is that he took action. Within his free trial, he had 6 meetings booked in with those clients, and he was able to generate that extra revenue. What we're saying is you can have within that 14-day period, with all hands on deck immediately, you will be able to speak to, if not all of your clients, a good proportion, certainly those clients most at risk. You can speak to those, all of those. So leverage Clarity, leverage the platform in that space of time. Or if you've got those clients in lockdown, just do that spreadsheet. Just follow that guidance in the core, the care call system, and leverage a simple spreadsheet and have those conversations with clients. That's why I put this up here. I just want to leave that with you. Take action. So for you being here, you're already thinking differently to most of the people out there. You're taking the time out to see what you can do to then leverage your time better, to help your team, to help all of your clients. Don't put that to waste. Take action now to be able to really and truly help your clients, and not just give them some care and attention and help them calm, but show them how they can ride the storm out, and also how they can then recover from it afterwards as well. So I'll leave that with you. Here are our contact details. If you want to get in touch with us, if you have any questions that I may have missed today, feel free to get in touch. You've got my social handle on there as well if you want to get in touch with me. We're very sociable, so please feel to reach out. Again, we're here to help, so we'll be in touch with you. We'll send you all of the content from today. So just a reminder, you get a recording, a copy of the slides, the care call system, and a copy of my concise version of my book. So we're here to help you whatever way we can. So do lean on us. I'm just going to go through a few other questions whilst we've got it here. So Simon, Digital Software Company emailed us to say it was automatic. So we're seeing if anyone can confirm this. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know about that one. Do check with Digital and Company's House. Keith's put something up as well regarding Companies House. Companies to receive 3-month extension prior for the filing period for the accounts, COVID-19. They'll be given 3 months to help companies avoid. Okay, let's see what happens. Do check what's going on as well. So thank you, Keith. I'm not sure if that's saying that's automatic. Companies to receive extension period. It looks like it potentially is automatic. So thank you for sharing that, Keith. Absolutely good advice. Prepare your accounts if you can, but this is all hands on deck right now. Sharon, thank you as well. You're very, very welcome. You've been prioritizing calls, fantastic, and yep, I'm grateful that you're using Clarity. I'm pleased that we're here to help you to have a fantastic tool to be able to do that. Elliot, you're very welcome. Thank you as well. I'm just going to hang around for another minute or two to see if we have any other questions come through. So feel free to type in, but feel free to sign off as well and get back to speaking to clients. I'll get that information over to you as soon as possible with regards to all of that, the content you're going to get from today's call, so that you can then start working with your clients and get your team on board. And again, as remember, we're here to help. So we will be in contact with you. I appreciate you probably have loads of emails coming through, but look out for ours. We're here to help, and do contact us too. Please don't keep that stiff upper lip. We are here to help. So please do reach out. Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you. It's just some buys coming through. Thank you very much. Okay. Right, we have no more questions. I think we'll leave that as now. Thank you, Philip. Gordon, Philip, you're very welcome. Thank you, Amy. Brilliant, fantastic. Okay, well, we'll wrap up there. Just to, again, reiterate, keep healthy, keep safe, look after yourselves, look after your family, look after your clients. And again, thank you very much for being here today. Speak soon. Oh, sorry, we've got one with Matthew coming through. Thanks very much for your help. You're very, very welcome. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's going to get a copy of this, Matthew. So you will get a copy of all of this documentation. Daniel, you're very welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin. Thank you. Awesome. Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you, Simon. Right, I'm signing off now, guys. I think that's it from the questions. Have a great day ahead. Take this energy into your clients' calls. Take that action. Remember, this knowledge isn't power. Knowledge isn't power. Knowledge with action is power. You have to use the knowledge to actually have the power. So let's leverage that. And as we said before, we have a superpower as accountants. Let's take that responsibility seriously and help all of our clients. So that's me signing off. We'll speak with you soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.